we are.
Mm.
Mike, did you see this Twitter community thing?
I'm sure Mike's very. I'm sure he's already.
What is that?
It.
Spike, do you want to explain it?
So it seems as if, I don't know what to compare it to. Twitter has created a way for you to create like basically a Twitter inside a Twitter for your own people.
Like a list.
Yeah, but everybody can, it's like a chat room almost. Like if you tweet within this community, nobody else you can't see it outside of the community, only the people inside. So there's now a Rights to Ricky Sanchez one where they can go in there.
Is that like a Discord?
Yes.
Essentially.
I was going to compare it to that, but I couldn't imagine that you knew what that was.
I hear terms from time again.
Yeah. So it's like a Discord. So there's like, we made it today. There's like, I think there's like 400 people in it already, which is,
Seems like something you'd be really interested in.
Me?
Yeah.
I used to, when I was Liberty Ballers guy, I was in all the comment sections.
Yeah.
I was responding to the folks. Did that for years. And now it's like, I don't know. I don't need it. I do this. I'll throw a couple curated tweets from time to time.
Yeah.
My question is, there's obviously, most people are tweeting to get responses. And if they're in the community.
It's just the comment section.
There's less responses.
Seems more personal.
Yes.
You're in a
like it's only our people.
Got it.
Yeah. All right. This fucking show we got to do. The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Sign up for DraftKings Sportsbook by using promo code RTRS and is brought to you by MortgageCS, the official mortgage broker of the Ricky. Go to mortgagecs.com/Ricky to be a MortgageCS Ricky VIP. Big Barker Therapeutic Dog Beds. Get yours at bigbarker.com/Ricky. And Stateside Urban Craft Vodka, the official sponsor of the Corner 3 newsletter, statesidevodka.com. On the show today, Ben Simmons returns to Philly and the Sixers get completely obliterated. We test to see whether Mike is actually no longer a regular season bitch. Andrew Bogut has a rumor about a Sixers offseason acquisition, and I think that's about it. Stateside Vodka, I mentioned, their bar is open once again Thursday nights, Friday nights, and all day Saturday. And during Sixers games, it is $4 Stateside Vodka sodas. That is at the Stateside Vodka bar there, which is a sweet little bar there. So we love our friends at Stateside. We love the iced tea and vodka, and we love the regular vodka, which is what I have tonight, and the vodka sodas. So statesidevodka.com. You got to be 21 or older. Without any further ado, Amos and the chef.
We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We was right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We were right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. Say the name.
Welcome to the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast. I'm Spike Eskin with a guy who will prove whether he has really graduated from regular season bitch to playoff motherfucker on tonight's show. That is one Mike Levin.
Whew.
Yeah, that was a rough
bad
one.
game.
Huh? Yeah.
That was a bad game. So we're out of town.
Where are you?
With John and Colleen and a few other folks.
Mm-hmm.
And their dogs are here.
Mm-hmm.
And the last time that I watched a game with John and Colleen's dogs was Game 7 of the Atlanta Hawks series.
Well.
And there was a game previously. John and I watched a playoff game together. John Gonzalez, friend of ours, and I misbehaved during that playoff game. I was acting out, and I believe they lost. I don't remember what series it was, but I believe they lost, and I was acting poorly. So, first of all, I shouldn't watch any more fucking Sixers with John Gonzalez or anyone connected to him. God damn it. So maybe that's good to know. And but both John and Alyssa were like, I don't know, intense game, March 10th, Ben, etc., rivalry game, whatever. And I was like, guys, this is a regular season. It's going to be fine. And they were upset by how sanguine I was about this.
I don't know what that word means at all.
Calm,
Okay.
mellow,
okay,
easygoing.
All right.
I would say up until like the first couple minutes of the third quarter, I thought they had a decent chance to come back in it, but then they also came out in the third quarter looking like shit, so it went away. But yeah, I mean, look, they were 5-0 with Harden coming into this game, 5-0 or 6-0, 5, I think. They were bound to lose one. It happens. It's a regular season game in March. I am a playoff motherfucker and determined to remain one. But also, even if you can shrug it off, you can also say, like, there's a lot about this game that is exactly what you're worried about with this team.
Yeah,
is Harden like 100% himself or the best version of himself? Tonight he certainly wasn't. How often can he get by guys? He had tunnel vision. He wasn't getting the calls. Both him and Embiid were kind of grifting a little too much. He wasn't. I mean, Harden looked like shit. That was the worst game Harden's played as a Sixer, or even around basketball in general in a very long time. That was pretty bad. It was terrible, and for it to happen against his old team and stuff, the team just looked extremely flat, except for Embiid in the first quarter.
Well, I don't think they looked flat. I mean, well,
I have no idea. It was it was kind of surreal. Like a lot of the things were like, maybe Dr. J is like enough of a. I don't know if he's enough of a get anymore to be like the bell ringing curse.
Too big for
like a momentous game with Ben back, and maybe just the energy was so there. And then once the game happened, it was like they were out of it. But it was a very weird game for them to come out looking so flat and careless, and I mean, dumb. Like it was a dumb game. I am fine, but I can also still be like, it's regular season, but also be like, what the fuck was that? Like, what was the purpose of everyone?
I'm gonna panic a little, actually, if you don't mind.
That's fair.
First, what I would say, and we all know that I am a pet guy. You know, I'm very committed to animal welfare. It's one of the reasons I'm vegan. I love my dog, loved my cat, love all animals. And I don't say this lightly, but I think just to be sure, you might have to put John and Colleen's dogs down.
I'll ask.
Okay. Humanely, of course. All right. Panic number one. And here's what I'll do. I'll sort of like throw you my concerns, because you mentioned there are a bunch of them. And you let me know whether it is cause for panic, because I feel a little bit panicked about all of them.
Sure.
Number one, Embiid certainly in the first half came to play, but this moment looked too big for the entire team. Harden included in that. And they looked, you said flat, to me they looked tight. And I watched the way that the Sixers responded, and then I watched the way that Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving responded, and I was like, holy fuck. Wait, you just can't. I know it's a regular season game. You can't come out for a big game looking that fucking terrified. So that's first concern.
Yeah, I mean, look, you know me. You know I don't believe in that shit generally. Like too big. The moment was too big for them. I just don't. I mean, James Harden's played in a number of huge games. Embiid's played in a number of huge games. Maxey is not like scared of stuff. Sometimes guys just like play like shit. And I would say like the Nets looked good, obviously, but also they hit everything. They were just hitting absolutely everything. The Sixers shot 10 of 44 through three quarters on twos. 22% on twos.
Mm-hmm.
I think like Daryl came on and said the Boston game was like, they didn't really lose by that much. Some of it was luck. I think that's kind of bullshit. I think sometimes you just get rolled, and this is another game that they absolutely got rolled. But also, they missed a ton of weird shots, and Brooklyn made a bunch of shots that they would not always make. So,
okay, right.
I think the gap should not have been as bad, but also like they played like shit. Like come on.
Okay. Second thing, you mentioned James Harden has played in a lot of big games. He has. However, his performance in said big games has been oftentimes very poor, though he has had teams who have gotten far. Like he just, when it's on, there are a lot of times where he hasn't shown up. That compared with the fact that it just didn't even look like he could get by Kyrie Irving tonight. He looked like the James, every bit of the James Harden that people warned us about. He looked like every bit of that today. He looked cold and he looked old and slow. He looked like, just sort of like he didn't have much of a plan. It was as bad a game as we could have possibly seen from him.
Yeah.
I'm worried about all those things.
Yeah, he played really bad. He played horrendous. He was 0 for 10 on twos. That's hard to do. He turned the ball over a bunch. He was driving without a plan. He wasn't passing well, which was strange. Like if we're isolating the Harden stuff, like absolutely a terrible game. And it feels like Harden's terrible games. Maybe this is something you say about his demeanor or whatever it is. It feels like Harden's terrible games are worse than most other superstars of his levels terrible games. When he's bad, he's like really, really bad. And so he was horrendous, like across the board. For sure.
Okay. Next thing.
But he's also looked great. The 5 games before this, I think I saw John Boyce of SB Nation posted like a graphic that said that 5-game stretch of Harden with the Sixers so far. That's the most assists in any 5-game stretch in Sixers history. In his first 5 games with the team is the most assists in any 5-game stretch. So he's been great, and he's had something the Sixers just have not had in a very long time, especially let alone this year. So I'm not like wildly concerned in general because he has looked so good. But man, he did look like ass tonight. Bad. Big time.
I just saw Sharp's face. Like, because Sharp has notoriously been an anti-Harden guy, and the entire time I'm seeing Sharp's face, and then I'm seeing, obviously,
it makes it feeling better. Sharp's rooting for Kristaps Porzingis.
Right. And I work with 2 Nets fans, Keith. What's up, Keith McPherson, Evan Roberts, and I just saw them both in my face. I saw Evan going dribble, fat, dribble. Like, I saw all of it all at once. Okay. Next thing. I am looking at this team trying to play defense, and just the athletes that they have in the playoffs. Boy, is it terrifying that it seems like teams like every team is going to go up to a different defensive level in the playoffs. Maybe not every team, but the Bucks certainly are.
No, every team.
The Raptors are, right. I don't know what the Sixers' next gear is.
Well, I love you bringing up defense. Thank
Thanks.
you for that. I wonder if what the counter on this history of this podcast of how many times I've brought up defense versus how many times you've brought up defense. I think I'm up a lot.
Right. Yeah. It's certainly not even.
But yes, I mean, this is a big concern. Yes, this is the biggest concern of the things that you've said so far. They just don't. I mean, Danny was out, but obviously Danny's only serviceable in limited bursts at this point in his career, and even bursts is a generous term to use for Danny. But yeah, I mean, I think their defense is Joel Embiid and Matisse in the, let's say, 2/3 of games when Matisse looks really, really good. There's about a third of games when Matisse looks kind of lost out there defensively, or just like not quite there. He's not getting around screens, whatever. It's very frustrating to me, as I've said before, how often this team doubles, or any team doubles. I think just generally basketball teams double too often, because for me, the thing you don't want to give up is an open shot. And over and over and over again tonight, and all the time. If you don't have the defenders to double hard and recover, then you're just giving up open shots. And like they had a bunch of them tonight. There was the obvious one where like DeAndre Jordan and Tobias went to the ball handler, and then James Johnson just like slowly walked to the basket for a wide open dunk.
Mm-hmm.
I think doubling like George Niang, who I think is a heady defender, even if he's not physically gifted defensively, speed wise, I think he's anticipates well. I think he's a fine NBA defender, and his body allows him to switch and be versatile because he's big enough. But he doubled onto a Matisse cover when Durant was like, Matisse was covering him well, and then just like gave him a wide open Bruce Brown layup out of it. And you're just like, why are you helping them? And they have enough shooters, Brooklyn does, on the court to like where they're one pass away from a wide open 40% shooter shot, whether it's, you know, any of those guys, Patty Mills, Seth Curry, etc. And then the Sixers, like they had a bunch of like, yes, they cannot stop the ball enough. They cannot keep their man in front of them enough. Absolutely. And then at least if you're going to have that, then you have to make guys like Seth, guys like Patty Mills, guys like Kyrie, guys like Goran fucking Dragic, his corpse out there. You have to make them pay on the defensive end. And it was extremely strange, like surreal, out of body experience, strange that they did not do that. They've been playing with Seth Curry for a couple years now.
Mm-hmm.
Doc is related to him. He should know that he cannot cover fucking anyone. And they made Seth Curry look like a good defender in tonight's game because they didn't go after him. The Maxey thing is the weirdest. Harden plays bad games sometimes. Embiid looks like he forces some 2-point shots. Sometimes Embiid was going at Drummond on every possession at the beginning, got him 3 fouls in the first like 9 minutes, yelled, "Get him out of here." Cool. Him and KD were jawing, like that was fun. And then he became like a jump shooter out of it, and the game was out of hand, and then he stopped really trying. But the Maxey thing was really, really, really weird. And it's easy to blame Doc for it. And I think absolutely Doc is a part of it. Like you have to scheme up ways to make those weak defenders pay. And Maxey's speed is a huge weapon that the Sixers just like didn't. He was just like not. It seemed like Maxey was like, "I'm not allowed to shoot tonight." Like they said, "Don't do it."
Well,
they said just like pass every time and just like leave it. And Maxey like bit on pump fakes. It was frustrating on the defensive end, but like he just looked really like he had too many ideas in his head, and he wasn't allowed to like operate the way he normally does. So I was very, very concerned by that. And so I think yes, the defense was a problem, but the offense never punishing those weak defenders allowed those offensive players to stay in and continue to beat guys off the dribble because they should have been played off the court in the first place. But yeah, the perimeter defense is absolutely a concern.
So I want to bring up the Maxey thing in a second in connection to something else you said, but I have one more defensive question to ask you. After I want to read this email. We got a great email about one of our new sponsors. This comes from Brady. "Hey, Spike, want to send a note that my brother and I met with MortgageCS today, new sponsor, and they were fantastic. We knew the high-level details about mortgages going in, but in an hour, Alec explained to us all the details of the mortgages we would be looking for and explained that even if we don't end up using them, they would happily look at other products from other lenders to give their honest opinion. I love the collection of advertisers you've built who are open to giving perspective and ideas in their respective areas for no cost. I wish more businesses were like that these days. Helps us understand very confusing industries very quickly."
We're only sponsored by like guilty people who are also a little bit lonely and just want to hang.
MortgageCS is great. You know, when you go to buy a home, especially your first home, the mortgage thing is pretty confusing. And here's why MortgageCS is good. They are a mortgage broker and they are independent. Mortgage broker is different than a lender because a mortgage broker is not lending you the money. What they are doing is they are going and finding the best rate for you from the people who actually loan the money. And the other good thing is because they're independent, they don't have ties to any specific lender. So this isn't like going to a bank for a loan, which you could do, but then you're tied to them. They're not going to be honest with you. They want you to use them to get the loan. But MortgageCS is independent and they are a mortgage broker. They also, this is weird to say during an ad, but they don't really spend money on advertising. So all of this overhead that these big mortgage brokers or these big mortgage lenders have, they don't have. They really care. Like, they put this company together. He mentioned Alec in that email, Ben as well. They put this company together to help get people through this mortgage process. And the last thing I'd say is they're always available. MortgageCS is always available. You can call or text Ben, who is the CEO, anytime, 267-391-7425. And if you've been buying a house before, you know you may decide at 9 p.m. you need a pre-qualification letter. 9 p.m., weekday. You call or text, they're there. They're always ready. They're not going to give your information to anybody, like one of those things you find on the internet, like Lending Tree or something. Is just them. Go to mortgagecs.com/Ricky. mortgagecs.com/Ricky. You'll sign up there. You'll be able to learn more about MortgageCS, and you'll be able to make an appointment to talk to them. And you can see the awesome website they set up for us, which is amazing. The awesome art. mortgagecs.com/Ricky. Your choice for buying a new home, refinancing, debt consolidation. Remember, it's not about just getting the best rate. It's about having a partner, and MortgageCS is going to be your partner. I'm telling you, this is the place that you go to. Go to mortgagecs.com/Ricky or call or text Ben at 267-391-7425 anytime and mention that you came from the Ricky. Google as well, MortgageCS, and look at the 5-star reviews, over 200 of them. Again, that's mortgagecs.com/Ricky or Ben at 267-391-7425. The MortgageCS disclaimer. The advertisement is not a commitment to lend or extend credit. MortgageCS is an equal housing opportunity mortgage broker and arranges loans with third-party providers and does not make any mortgage loan commitments or fund any mortgage loans. All loans are subject to credit approval. Certain restrictions may apply. The information is presented for informational purposes by Rates for Us LLC, DBA MortgageCS, Company NMLS 146766, licensed by the PA Department of Banking and NJ Department of Banking and Insurance. Visit mortgagecs.com for more information. Ben Stucker, NMLS ID number 168345. Okay. Here's the other defense thing I want to ask you, because you brought up Matisse and how he's only like really good two-thirds of the time. I watch him in games like this. He is great when he is chaos. When you throw him in there, he's running all over the place. He's creating steals. But man, when you put him on somebody like Kyrie or somebody like Durant, I think, first of all, somebody like Kyrie is going to have him in foul trouble in 5 minutes. And then somebody like Durant is just too strong. Matisse hasn't really gotten stronger in the few years that he's been here. He hasn't gotten bigger and stronger. He seems like he dies on screen sometimes. And I just think as our stopper, he's so limited offensively that as the team stopper, he's just not stopper enough, as great as he is on defense. Address.
I mean, he's just a unique player. He's not, going to bottle somebody up all the time. I disagree about Kyrie. I think he did a nice job on Kyrie, and there was just other guys that the Nets could just exploit and go like, okay, we're not going to go one-on-one with Matisse. We don't need to. There's 4 other defenders, Embiid being one of them. If there's a 3-point shooter to draw him out, like we don't need to go one-on-one. I thought he did a nice job, and his offense wasn't great tonight, but I think that was predicated on like how awful Harden looked. Like, we know Matisse isn't good an offensive player, but he has looked great with Harden on the court. I think Derek wrote about it in his newsletter. It'd be nice to tie Matisse to Harden minutes rather than Embiid minutes, so that Matisse and Harden are always on the court together. And there's a little more defense on those Harden things. But then you're worried about like, okay, then Matisse and DeAndre Jordan are on the court at the same time. That's again why it's very frustrating that they don't have a backup 5 that can shoot. Maybe you try Millsap sometimes. Maybe I honestly I'm gonna keep saying it should fucking be beat ball Paul. It's this bullshit. I'm gonna file a grievance against Doc. But yeah, I mean, I think Matisse is an excellent defender. He's not the. I think you'd be hard pressed to find a wing defender that can anchor an elite defense the way a center can.
For sure, totally agree. So
I think you put Matisse on a guy like Zach LaVine or DeRozan, like, yeah, he'll bite sometimes, those kinds of things. Tatum, Brown, those kinds of stuff. Like, he will more often than not make it way harder on them. Sometimes guys hit shots. Kyrie, obviously, coming off 50. Kyrie hits shots. Durant is incredible. It just happens. But I think he makes it as hard on guys as really any player in the league, even if he's not a traditional, like, physical defense, kind of like Tony Allen style, like you can't move him type of guy.
I know it's a bigger question, but I really, in the few years he's been here, his improvement has been almost nothing at all. And I really he just needs to get stronger. He needs to be able to hit threes at a more consistent clip.
And it's frustrating to me. Like I think he tries to play fast and try to get the ball out, but like how often does he get a rebound or get a steal and tries to pass it to someone in like a split second, but his momentum is taking him the other direction, and then that leads to a turnover or miscommunication. Like he just needs to I love starting the break, obviously, but like he also needs to like occasionally calm the fuck down.
Okay.
The bigger thing for me, are you do one more or no?
What's that?
Do you have another concern, or I was gonna?
Yeah, I had one more. Okay. Can I give you one more? Doc Rivers and Mike O'Connor documented this on Twitter. And again, I am not, because he texted me about it. I was like, I hate blaming the coach. But you mentioned it earlier, that there are three considerable advantages. As bad as they were defensively, they were horrible offensively. Just fucking horrible. The Sixers have three distinct advantages offensively. First of all, nobody on the team, specifically Drummond, can guard Embiid. Second half, the Embiid post-ups basically go away. Seth Curry can't guard Tyrese Maxey. He just can't. And the thing
even Bruce, they had Bruce Brown on him for a while. He can't guard him either.
And the other thing that we haven't seen a ton of actually is the whole Harden just going down and diagnosing and keep getting the team to switch until he gets the player he wants on him. And the Nets have enough subpar defenders to where he should be able to do that. And we didn't really see any of that specifically in the second half when the Embiid post-ups went away. So the final concern is that, like, and this has been something we've talked about, just the ability of Doc Rivers to just sort of diagnose what's going on and do something that helps. And it just seems like not only did that not happen, but everything went the wrong way this game.
Yeah, I mean, yes.
Okay, all right. That's the one you're buying.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't know what like advantage he's getting you. Like in-game adjustment. In-game, like we can exploit this kind of thing. Usually it's, well, the Embiid play is working, so keep giving it to him and let him work. When Doc's teams play with like some level of like free-flowing stuff, and you're just like taking advantage of mismatches where you can find them, blah, 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 then fine. Then I get it. But he's not like, too often it seems like the stuff Doc does is like, okay, let's get this guy going, and just calls a play for them to touch the ball at the top of the key rather than like anything that's incredibly special. It's the biggest thing, honestly. Like Tyrese Maxey has been so good for this team all season, and especially once Harden's gotten here, and they looked extremely slow, extremely passive, on their back foot, playing like the Sixers did before Harden got here. Every pass was a fucking chore. Nothing was easy. Every dribble handoff was so weak and so easily blown up. Joel and DeAndre had 8 turnovers and 2 assists, combined for 2 assists. Like, and almost all of those were just like on passes that the Nets were just like, out muscled them on or out anticipated. And it was just like really slow. Every hit ahead was extremely telegraphed. It was very weird. And to see that, and to see how poorly they shot on twos, and see that Maxey took 7 shots. He had 4 points on 7 shots and 1 assist in 29 minutes. What is going on?
He scored 25 points like every of the other Harden games. He's
extremely bizarre. And I can see Tobias go, like I can see the team go like, we should get Tobias going. But it's like Tobias has like Kevin Durant on him or James Johnson on him. And Tobias had a fine game. Like he was 4 or 5 from 3. Like it seemed like he was making some quicker decisions, but then occasionally it'd be like, okay, time to dribble into some post ups, time to dribble into some ISOs. And it's like, fuck, man. And Tobias is so weak on the glass still. The ball gets taken from him from a guard like at least once a game, where like Bruce Brown just rips the ball away or Kyrie rips the ball away, and you're like, dude, like come on, you're big, you're physical, be more physical, like assert your will and like go get the ball. And just like the whole team tonight, except for that like one moment when it was Embiid, going after Drummond, Embiid going after Durant and like chirping at each other, when it seemed like, okay, this is gonna be a great game. the whole team was just like non-existent. It was
Mhm.
really real. Like, did something happen? Like, did everyone like eat bad fish? Like, what do we do? What happened? What's going on? What went on that everyone looked Shake looked horrendous. Finally, Korkmaz came in, finally had a couple shots, good for him. But like, I mean, even Niang only got his buckets like late in the game. Like, no one looked good. Embiid was getting the line early, great. But like, I can convince myself that like they needed to get punched in the face. I'm a little embarrassed that it happened in a game like tonight when it's like there's so much bad blood between these two teams.
And Harden said that tonight. Tonight was good for us. We got our ass kicked. And I was like, you know what? The fuck.
But like,
no.
do that against someone else. If Chicago had kicked your ass, then you're like, okay, they were due. They were bound to beat them eventually. They're a good team, and the Sixers have mostly handled them all season. But like, this is the Nets team. This is the rival right now. This is like the rival. You should want to come out to play. And they came out looking extremely flat. I'm not going to read a ton into it. All the concerns I had with this team before this game about like perimeter defense and like slow decision making and athleticism, especially in the 3-4 range, still hold. And like all obviously Doc just being generally uncreative and immovable. But for it to look as bad as it did tonight, like they should apologize. Like, they should apologize to the fans. Like, how do you not like, the fans were so fucking juiced coming into that.
Yeah.
And Embiid was like being physical early, and for them to just like be like, well, I guess we'll wait it out. It just seemed every possession was so goddamn slow. I don't understand. I really don't understand. And I watch like I argue, or not argue, but like I complain about national media, like color commentator types who are just like, Reggie Miller just reads like the same like 6 things and is like, be aggressive is a thing I should probably say. I say like, they should be more aggressive, like one things like that. They're just not saying anything of value, but like, how do you not come out and like give a fuck?
Yes, this is the game. This is the biggest game of the year.
I don't understand. I mean, I do think that there's a level of rhythm at this high of a level of basketball where if one team is just feeling it and the other team like has questions or is unsure of something, or like things are their first option is getting taken away, then maybe it just like takes you so far out of your rhythm. That's when you think like, well, we have guys like Harden, Embiid, and Maxey that even when plays are broken up and they can turn into something else just because they are great one-on-one players. But nobody had it tonight, and they should feel embarrassed by it. I am cool and don't care because it's not the postseason yet, but they should give a fuck. And there's all the issues that we talked about and have talked about that Harden solved a lot of them, but not all of them, still persist. And so I bet Daryl wishes that he had gotten Harden like 2 weeks earlier, so he could have been like, okay, how can we solve the problems of this team? And I think he just didn't have time to do it because the Harden trade happened too late. And they, at their height, excellent team, capable of winning a championship. But there's a lot of issues that have to go right for them to get there.
Well, I give credit to Jason Lipschitz, our friend Jason, who tweeted that you got to give credit to the Nets for pulling this one out to avoid going under 500 again. So.
Yeah, I mean, they needed it. Like, they needed it more than the Sixers did. But you would think that just the bitterness against Ben, and Ben sitting there and like wearing a fucking Louis Vuitton hockey jersey. Like, come on, go fuck yourself. Like, what is that?
Okay. So are we, could we talk about Ben? All right.
Sure.
All right. First, actually, right before Ben, let me look at Draft. So DraftKings Sportsbook is the official presenting sponsor of the Ricky. Let me check some odds here from DraftKings. Let's see if anything has changed since the last time we talked. Embiid now minus 145 to win MVP. Nikola Jokic, who nobody's talking about, is plus 170 to win the MVP. And then I think the championship odds might be down. I think they are. Oh, no, here we go. Team futures. Sixers plus 650 to win the East and plus 340. Still behind the Nets, or plus 650 to win the title and plus 640 to win the East. What do you think, before I mentioned the rest of the DraftKings stuff, what do you think the real chances are of the Brooklyn figuring it out and coming out of the East? Like, is it like a long shot or is it really possible?
Somewhere in between. I think it's definitely possible. They have Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving and a bunch of guys that can hit shots and some guys that can defend. Totally possible. And the 1 through 8 in the East is just going to be the first round is going to be 4. I'm not ruling out that someone could win like 4-1, but like those are 8 good teams and maybe more if you believe in like Atlanta to put some things together, Charlotte too. So I think it's definitely possible for Brooklyn to get there, but they also obviously like Kyrie, there's like 17 games left of the season or something like that. Kyrie can play in 4 of them. Like that's weird. That's not probably great for morale and gelling and all that shit.
Speaking of DraftKings, it is Mike's time. Conference championships this week. Turn your team's victory into your own big win with DraftKings Sportsbook. New customers bet $5 on any team to win and get $200 in free bets if they do. It's that simple. If they win, you win. Illinois listeners, big news. Mobile registration is back. In Illinois before, to bet on your phone, you had to go to the casino and register. So now you can do it on your phone. Right now, you can sign up for DraftKings Sportsbook simply by downloading the app right on your phone. If the Sportsbook is not available in your state, still join the action with DraftKings Pools. Everyone can play free all March long with your shot at over $250,000 in prizes. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code RTRS. Bet $5 on any college hoops team to win, and you get $200 in free bets if they do. If they win, you win. Promo code RTRS this week at DraftKings Sportsbook. 21 and over. Restrictions apply. See show notes for details. All right. So Ben Simmons returns in just the biggest lame-o, loser way possible. He's not on the bench for any road game. Doesn't shoot before any game. I was at a game 2 weeks ago. He's not shooting before the game. And he decides he's going to return for this one. Per Kyle Neubeck, it was a sort of a kickoff to his union grievance. Just to get booed, as if getting booed means that you shouldn't have to play. Yeah,
that was it. Then everyone that's ever played in Philadelphia should file a grievance.
Yeah. What a fucking loser. Honestly. Stupid. Can you imagine? You're Kevin Durant. You've won 2 championships. You're Kyrie Irving. You've won a championship. You're Patty Mills. You've won, 2 or 3 championships. Just these fucking guys who have been through it. And here is this little fucking loser who comes in, and the only time that that he feels like he has to appear on the bench at a road game or do warm-ups or anything is this game, which, by the way, also means something to them. This game also means something to Kevin Durant. It also means something to Patty Mills. It also means something to Kyrie Irving, because that guy that's on the Sixers just abandoned them. What a just fucking lame thing. And to go and it's such a setup for. And I don't like rip the shirt off my chest and have a big P under it that I'm Mr. Philly fan or whatever. But this fucking setup. Like this whole thing, to go out there and basically try to bait people without also having to step up and actually like perform, it's just so lame. I'm so glad that nothing happened. It was such like a lame. And then for him to come out in warm-ups and you big fucking coward, you wouldn't even shoot the ball in warm-ups. Like he stood under
playing. What's he shooting the ball for? What's he doing warm-ups for?
Yeah, well, he's standing under the rim, passing it to people, and then your little fucking lame-o grin on the bench as the Nets are winning, as if you've been vindicated.
Yeah. That's the strangest. I mean, like, look, he can be happy that his team won, like, obviously, whatever. But like the national media being like, "Oh, how about Ben now?" And it's like, he didn't fucking play. He's just sitting there, looking stupid, wearing a stupid shirt, coming out there and rebounding for Patty Mills and like doing the dunk that he could have done in the Hawks series. How about this? Like a little cute thing, like a self-aware. Like it's all very, very bizarre. It's very bizarre, and national media acting like they've been on Ben's side this whole time is extremely frustrating, because they were making fun of him for many months, and now that it's like, oh, but maybe you regret it. Like it's like, what are you talking about? He's sitting there.
He's not even playing.
He hasn't played. He's having treatment, whatever. Who the fuck knows if he's gonna play? I would like him to play. I think it'd be interesting to see it and to see what happens to this Brooklyn team that has started to look a little bit better lately.
It would be great during the playoffs if the Sixers played the Nets during the playoffs.
Absolutely. But I think part, like, look, I don't know how fucking grievances work. Like a fan base booing you because you talk shit on the city and didn't show up to work. Like that doesn't seem like that's doing it. Is a judge going to be like, I just woke up. I was just born, like straight up. I'm a baby. I'm a little baby judge. And like, I see why you couldn't play. Like, is that what we're talking? Like, what are you talking about? Like, yeah, you were an asshole. You were an asshole to the team. You were an asshole to the fans. The last moment and series of moments in Philadelphia for you was you playing like shit. So people boo. Like I just don't understand the idea of like, and that's why I deserve to get $20 million back for not doing my job. Like I just don't understand it. So whatever, I don't care. It's not my money. Josh Harris, I hope the judge just takes it and sets the $20 million. I hope baby judge takes $20 million from Josh Harris, sets it on fire, looks at Ben and Josh and says like, go fuck yourselves, both of you. The baby judge is me, I guess, that's who I'm doing it. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
Well,
if I'm like, Seth was like grinning on the bench, and I get why Seth wanted like revenge against Sixers for trading him in a year that he was playing really well offensively. Obviously, like he's right to do that. That's fine. But like he's sitting there next to Ben, and I'm like, what the? You fucking know that this is all bullshit.
He knows. Seth Curry knows. I can assure you, Seth Curry knows. And the other, he wants to play well against his former team. I mean, totally. I don't think Seth Curry's like, you shouldn't got rid of Ben Simmons. Like that's not what I think is happening. I don't think he's going to win his grievance, and I also don't think the Players Association or the NBA wants him to at all.
It was weird. It was so weird to be like, now he's going to start talking and like baiting the fans is all very bizarre. I'm like, honestly, if there was a closer game, maybe they would have been more heated throughout the game and something could have escalated. One fan got tossed, but like that happens all the time. That's not going to like win you.
Fans get tossed every game. Yeah.
So it's just like, I'm glad that nothing happens. I was worried that something would have happened. If he's thinking, oh, this will be like, so when I do play in Philadelphia next, either this season or in the future or whatever, like it'll be less vitriolic. Wrong. If you ever play in Philadelphia again, it will be the first time that you've played in Philadelphia since this.
Yeah.
Like it's not going to get, you didn't like,
he didn't get it over
split the difference.
Yeah.
It's going to be, they didn't have another opportunity to boo you outside of warmups. So like, it's going to, taking foul shots, all of it. So I think it was a stupid idea. I think it didn't work. If he's happy that they got the win, great. I don't think he had any difference. If you're in the national media going like Ben had the last laugh, then first of all, it's fucking March. It's not the last anything. He hasn't played yet. We have James Harden. He's obviously not 26, but he's still very good. And he's better than Ben giving them zero everything this season. What are we talking about? It was just the whole thing is really, really weird. And Ben and everybody around him looks like so fucking stupid for all this shit.
And this is not going away. Like none of this is going away. You know, if this made him feel a little bit better, then fine. But I don't think that's what this was about. And to your point, if he comes back, every time he touches the ball, they're going to do, not only are they going to boo, they're going to do funny shit. Yeah. They're going to scream shoot at you. You know,
sure. Like foul shooting is going to be a thing. Everything's going to be a thing. It's not, he didn't like, you didn't, when you have like a bunch of laundry to do and you're like, I'll do a little bit of it. I'll at least throw it. You still have to, it's going to have to start the laundry all over again. You showing up, this is working. Just act like it's working. Just act like it is.
Okay.
This chore, you don't get to half this chore. This is a full chore that you have to do. Every time you show up, it's a new set of things you have to do with it. And I landed that plane so good.
The last thing on Simmons, George Niang, much like the man he replaced, Mike Scott, will become a folk hero. And the best thing ever is this quote from George Niang from Kyle Neubeck. Kyle Neubeck asked him about the Ben Simmons thing and whether there would be animosity between George Niang, who never played with Ben Simmons, and Ben Simmons.
A couple practices
that
Ben got kicked out of.
I'm going to try to answer this the best way I can. It is what it is. We have who we have in this locker room, but I think we're happy with who we have in this locker room. I'm going to leave it at that. It is what it is.
He goes on to not leave it at that.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave it at that. And I continue.
He knows what he did or what he had to do to get himself right. Whether that's right, wrong, or indifferent, it's not my place to speak on. Obviously, I have thoughts about Ben, but if he's happy where he's at, then let him be happy. We're happy with the guys we have in this locker room that want to be here. George Niang fucking hates Ben Simmons, and he has like no connection to him whatsoever. It's like, I
love how much Niang like appreciates Harden.
Yes,
like because for those guys, like Niang signed a 2-year like $6 million deal,
something like that. Yeah,
Harden is like making him money.
Yeah,
for the future. Harden being here, having a guy that commands the defense and that finds shooters in their shooting pocket, which he did not do tonight at all, but generally will make George Niang a lot of money and give that man a career continuously. And that's cool. And I like when guys like appreciate that. I like when a rolling big man that really just does very few things, like plays within his lane, can like appreciate the point guard that's distributing for them. I like when a running back appreciates the offensive line creating them the hole. Like those kinds of things. I like that in sports. I like that when the role players are appreciating like, hey, that guy, I'm going to hitch my wagon to him and do whatever the fuck he needs me to do because I will make money off of him being great and me being willing.
Before we have a great mailbag. I don't even know what to say about this because there's obviously we would like to have the guy on the team. There was a, what's his fuck has a podcast. The center, the big Bogut, Andrew Bogut says on his podcast, Rogue Bogues. I heard a pretty big rumor from some people that are pretty close to the situation in the NBA.
Sounds legit.
Big 3 to Philly. Brad Beal is trying to get to Philadelphia in the offseason to team up with Harden and Embiid. Philly's desperate, obviously, to get off Harris anyway. They have been for a while. And I think they're even more desperate to free up that cap space somehow. It will most likely have to be a sign and trade with Philly. But don't be surprised if a big 3 forms in Philly. That's the word on the street. My question to you, Mike, is, I think I know the answer. If Washington just called and they're like, hey, we'll do a sign and trade, just give us Tobias Harris and Tyrese Maxey for Brad Beal.
No.
No?
No.
There's a lot of loser. No offense to either guy. There's a lot of loser energy between Harden and Beal on the same team. There's a lot of I don't know if I need both those guys on one team.
I like Beal a lot. I think he's great. I think he'd be very helpful on this team. I think him flying around screens and also being able to like create for himself and others. You'd have an issue defensively for sure. Like Harden and Beal on the same wing rotation, you really got to have like a bunch of decent wing players around them defending. That wouldn't be prohibitive if it was like, hey, Tobias and a couple of other guys, whatever, not a couple of non-maxi guys and picks. For Beal, I would do it. But it would be an issue defense, but I would still do it because if you have Maxey, Harden, Beal, Matisse, Embiid, you figure it out.
All right. Before we get to the mailbag, what do we got? Oh, Big Barker, right? Did I say Big Barker?
But I don't trust Andrew Bogut to know anything. Like, who the
Yeah.
fuck? Andrew Bogut? I've heard from someone. I hear fucking shit. Everybody hears shit.
Yeah. I mean,
I
he
heard
read
somebody
it on
fart.
the internet.
I heard
It was on
somebody fart in
internet.
the other room. Like, that might mean something. Come on, Bogut. Fucking, and he's studying the CBA, I'm sure. It'll have to be I bet. I bet you know.
He saw it on Hoops Hype or something.
He's a fucking big, tall Australian dingus. Too big. Too big to be that stupid.
Big Barker is a trusted sponsor of the Ricky. Go to bigbarker.com/Ricky, bigbarker.com/Ricky. Big bummer for me. Got home from Austin on Tuesday night and my dog's not here. I usually have 2 nights with my dog alone as my wife is not here. She goes back to Philly for work. And normally I come home, go to bed with Rebel on his Big Barker, but he's not here. Love my dog, miss my dog. Bigbarker.com/Ricky. Quite simply, Big Barker is the dog bed that is going to keep your dog healthier for longer. Keeps young dogs spry, older dogs keeps them more comfortable because it has been engineered by experts to keep your dog's joints very, very smooth. No achy joints. If you go to bigbarker.com/Ricky, not only do you get the Big Barker dog bed, you get 2 processed pup patches. And you send us a picture and we put them in the processed pup gallery. When you adopt a dog, you should be adopting dogs, not buying them. But if you adopt a dog, your one job in life is to make that dog happy and healthy. It's the only thing that you have to do. And why would you have them sleeping on an inferior mattress? Proven by Penn Vet, proven to keep your dog healthier. Bigbarker.com/Ricky. I say big, it's not just for big dogs, even though they have it for giant dogs, but also they have the Barker Jr. for small dogs. Rebel's not a big dog, 40 pounds. Has a Big Barker, has a large size. Again, bigbarker.com/Ricky. It's made right here in the USA. There's a 10-year warranty. The foam doesn't flatten or they replace it for free. And you get a 1-year at-home trial. If you don't like it or the dog doesn't like it, free refund or full refund with shipping. As I mentioned, Big Barker dog beds.
Woof woof.
All right. Mailbag time. Writes Ricky Sanchez at gmail.com. Send us 1 basketball and 1 non-basketball.
You did have it in the notes, but Danny
What?
Green saying Ben changed his number without telling anybody,
Oh, yes.
and then never responding because he changed his number, and then he's gonna file a grievance saying like they didn't even want me back. They were trying. It's just like Joel and Doc were mean to me. It's like, bro, you changed your fucking number. You didn't want to.
I took it from Reddit. I guess, was he on with Rosillo? I don't know who he was on with.
I think so.
Danny Green said, Ben Simmons changed his number without telling anyone. Danny reached out personally, sent a bunch of text messages over a few weeks, but Ben did not respond. Others tried checking in and nobody talked to Ben until he showed up at practice. Players in the Sixers locker room would discuss who they'd trade Ben away for. They didn't expect to get a big asset like Harden, and the role players in the Sixers locker room joked about being traded away in a potential Simmons deal. No one felt safe.
That's the third thing you said. The role players being traded away is predictable and kind of sad, and I'm sure was the source of a lot of like angst. Them talking about who they could get and not assuming it'd be Harden is reasonable. Maybe they listen to the podcast. I don't know. But that I don't think it's unreasonable or like a big no that, hey, this guy that's not showing up, who's making $1 billion fucking dollars a year on the team that is not playing, I wonder who we could get for him. Like it's like them talking about it. If they didn't talk about it, I'd be like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
You're not talking about it at all.
this?
I'd be concerned with the chemistry if they weren't talking about it at all. So obviously they're speculating their own fucking trade machine and shit. They're seeing.
Doesn't it seem like Danny Green just fucking talks like he's on a reality show about the Sixers or something?
A little bit sometimes. Yeah, a little bit.
It's weird.
Poor Danny. He missed tonight's game with the fucking lacerated finger, which happened to me the last time I played. It bled. I got cut like right under the nail and just kept bleeding for a while.
I feel like I got to make I got to make like a Mike mentioned playing basketball in relation to the Sixers sound effect, like a ding.
I did get scratched right there. There it is. It's scabbed over now, but it was bleeding a lot.
Writes Ricky Sanchez at gmail.com. This comes from Gabe. Non-basketball question. What would you do if you had 24 hours to kick the bucket? Now, this question is more for Mike, since I've asked Spike this question on Twitter, and he
24
swiftly...
podcasts.
What's that?
24 straight podcasts. Back to back. Ran them all together in one season of podcasts in my last day.
Spike swiftly responded, the only real answer, eat some fried chicken and drink a Nantucket. That is a reference to a Mace song, 24 Hours to Live. Since that question was only for Mike, I have another for Spike. Since you're a hat guy, apparently when you sleep, do you ever get worried your hair might thin out or you may potentially have a loss of hair? This coming from a fellow hat lifer, although I'm only 23. Well, I have plenty of hair. I don't think wearing a hat makes you lose your hair, and I don't wear a hat all day long. Shout out to my boy, Young Pep Dash, who I know is listening right now. I haven't heard from that guy on Twitter in like years, Young Pep Dash. I hope you're doing all right. Keep up the great work, guys. This comes from Nick. Hello, Spike and Mike. Love the pod. My basketball question is, why does anyone who isn't financially interested in the Ben Simmons grievance outcome give a shit about it? Does anyone really care if he sucks some money out of Josh Harris? Outside of lightning fuckface's wallet, it has absolutely no impact on the Sixers, their chances moving forward, and no fans are shamed into, quote, behaving.
No, I mean, I'm interested, and the league's interested in it from the level of like, this guy held out with this many years left on his deal, and he's not good enough to just like force a trade to wherever. So I'm interested on just like, how's it going to go and how's it going to like shape the future of, transactions and stuff in the player empowerment department. But yeah, I mean, as I said, like, I hope neither of them gets the money. I hope I hope baby judge buys like a $20 million doll, and then they both want it, and he breaks it in half in front of him. Baby Judge.
I think it's bad for the league if he gets the money back, but and just from personally, I don't want him to have the money. I don't need Josh Harris to keep the money either. So, non-basketball question. Have either of you ever had the unique pleasure of eating Cento's hoagie spread, a delicious cherry pepper relish that can go on almost everything? Yes, I have. It's very good. You?
No.
It's awesome. Awesome. Love like a hot pepper spread. Okay. From Jesse, basketball question. With every passing day, it seems more and more likely that our sweet boy JoJo will be the MVP of the league. I've been thinking a lot about how after it becomes official, he'll be presented with the award at home in front of a raucous playoff crowd by none other than Dave Silver. That won't happen. Don't they give the MVP award way after the playoffs now? Or is it during the playoffs? It's during... I
remember Giannis won it when they were eliminated.
Right. To my knowledge, this will be the first time Dave will be presented to Sixers fans in the flesh, and given how hard it is to win another MVP, this may be our only chance to make him answer for his crimes, unless, of course, we win the finals at home. So my question is, how can we as a community best take advantage of this opportunity? As they said in Animal House, I think this situation calls for a stupid and futile gesture on somebody's part. Loud boos seem like a given, but is there something else we can do to make the world understand this is one of the greatest enemies of the process?
I don't know. That's a lot of steps.
Yeah.
To get to that point, but I think we should revisit it if it
happens.
Yeah.
Non-basketball. I love this question. I fucking love this. This is one of my favorite non-basketball questions of all time. Let's say you're skydiving naked, and mid-free fall, you really have to pee. What's your move? I think I would try to flip over on my back.
Keep going.
I know. This happens with me. I want everyone to know I'm not like, this is not a bit. I'm like, actually, I have trouble getting through it. Okay. I think I would try to flip over to my back so my so my peen is facing up, waving in the wind like a flag, and let her rip. Oh, you also have a roll of Scotch tape tucked under your shoulder straps if you want to tape it down in a certain direction. Taping between your balls is an interesting play, but you risk free falling into your pee. Or peeing all over.
The idea that you are naked skydiving, got it. But also you have Scotch tape in your like armpit?
Or peeing all over your butt. Thoughts. So what would be your move? I know what my move would be.
I've gone skydiving twice.
Yeah.
And the like parachuting down once the parachute is gone, that like 8, it feels longer. I actually don't know how long it is, but it feels like a long time. That's a very long time when like the straps are really like tugging at your groin, really yanking it up, and you're just like sort of like waving your way down. That's tough. And so I have had to pee then. I was wearing clothes, and there was a man on my back guiding me, so I didn't pee on him. But if I'd probably communicate to be like, hey, it's happening, I gotta pee. And I would probably just like go to the side. It's not like a north-south only situation. You could pee to the side and not have to be like, get on. But I guess the wind, you have to really determine. You don't want it to be blown back onto you.
All right. I'm going to give you what I would do. I would grab my peen, as the guy said, with my hand and just pee into my hand. That way I don't have to worry about spinning around and getting the pee on my face. I would just pee into my hand. I would just sort of like squash it.
Where does it go? You're not catching a load of pee. It could still bounce and drip onto your face afterwards in the wind.
That's true.
You're just guaranteeing you're peeing so much on your hand.
I just think that the drips are less likely to become.
I think
a
it's
problem
more likely because then it's closer to you. Whereas if you're peeing, then you could like at least get some distance between where you are and your face is and where the pee is going. You could try to like shoot it out. Whereas if it's in your hand, then you're like guaranteeing that the ricochet is as close to you as possible. I don't think you're thinking this one through.
Okay. And the final question came from 2 people. First, it came from Tim. I'll say that this question came from Tim, but I want to read the email from CJ's friend Ben. Hello, Mr. Spike and Mr. Playoff Motherfucker. By the way, we will have a regular season bitch playoff motherfucker t-shirt coming soon. So that will be our playoff shirt this year. A friend of CJ's back with some comments and important questions. First, I cracked and ordered butyrate the other night as I was struggling to fall asleep due to some digestive discomfort from Body Bio. Butyrate. Couldn't stop thinking about it, like when you get a song stuck in your head, but instead it was just Spike's voice saying, even if you don't know the bloat is there, it's there, and you'll feel the difference with butyrate immediately, hoping to email back with some positive feedback. My non-basketball question was another point of contention in our friend group recently. The question was simply posed as, are there more doors or wheels in the world? And the group exploded. Lots of semantics on what or what isn't a door or wheel, and feel free to define them however you want because the question doesn't specify, but we decided to limit it to wheels that facilitate forward movement and doors that allow people to go through them.
Wasn't that in the flagrant? Flagrant? I forget what it's called now.
Well, I know that 2 people asked, so it must be on the internet somewhere.
Yeah, it was the whole thing that from, I saw it from the Spinsters girls.
Okay.
And they reposted it from someone in the flagrant.
Here comes CJ.
Similar to the babies tank debate, this is like a very popular.
It's a popular thing. Okay,
yes.
so it wasn't.
Okay.
It wasn't the start of that. Okay.
We did not come up with this.
Thank you, CJ. What a guy.
Oh, and as Chase mentions, you know what? Now that I mention it, I heard them mention that they mentioned it. Gio on WFAN in the morning was mentioning this. I didn't hear them talking about it, but I heard that they talked about it. Now that I think of it, so I think it's a fair definition of doors and wheels, right? Like you can't. I wouldn't say that a rotating circle in an engine is a wheel, right? A wheel propels something forward or backward, right? Is that a fair definition of wheel?
I don't know. I don't want it to be. Well, the wheels people were debating it, being like, "There's wheels in everything. You can't see it. There's wheels in this fucking microphone that are like spinning it." Well, there are wheels right here, but like,
yeah,
I don't know. I think of something of like if you're doing it, just from wheels that go on the ground or wheels that you can see rather than like gears within something that is just like, obviously there's more wheels embedded into things than there's no doors in the microphone, and those kinds of things. So I think the argument exploded out past it, and then you're really having hypothetical arguments. But there are, like, I'm looking at the door. There's a door handle. Is there a wheel in the door knob? Probably.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It's probably wheels, but I thought about the first like couple minutes I was thinking about it. I was like, I'm enjoying this, and then I very quickly it was like this. I hate it. I hate the conversation.
So I thought about it for a second, and my first thought was like, well, obviously wheels, because there's 4 wheels on a car and in a house. But then I started thinking about, oh my God, think of all the doors in a house. There's so many doors.
There's also 4 doors in most cars.
Oh, fuck. I didn't even think of that.
And then you're like, what does a cabinet count as a door? All that stuff. But I think because of the small wheels type things, rather than there are fewer small doors, I think wheels probably wins. But also, again, I really stopped caring pretty quickly because it made me upset.
Yeah, I like the tank baby thing much better. I think it has more what's the word I'm looking for? Longer lasting debate. I think I hadn't thought about all the doors on cars. It's definitely doors. It's fucking doors. If that's how we're defining it, it's doors. It's not even close.
But people were saying like wheels of like an office chair you're sliding around, and like there's multiple wheels on that thing, and just like every machinery, every piece of machinery has like a ton of wheels in there. Anyway, I don't care. It can be doors. That's fine.
Think about every skyscraper, every house. A lot of doors in there.
Oh yeah, like a skyscraper. Think of all the offices in them.
But there's also wheels in there in those offices. A lot of them.
What is the building on wheels? What are we talking about?
Office chairs, desk chairs.
Oh, you're right. It's a good point. Fuck. There's so many more standing desks now than there used to be, though.
But even the standing desk has wheels in it.
Oh, it's a good point.
Those kinds of things.
Fuck.
If we're counting like because I was a doors guy first, thinking about those kinds of things. But then if you start to say like the small wheel gear turning, those kinds of fucking things, then I think I think it's wheels. But in the more direct answer of like wheels as we see them versus doors as we see them, I would say doors. But I don't know. It's hard to parse.
Mm.
Anyway.
All right. Well,
that game blew.
The next 2 games are what? Orlando and Denver? Is that what we have?
You're proud of me for staying strong, for not being upset?
I didn't think this was the mic that I was getting, to be honest with you. I didn't think this was a
John
mic.
Got mad at me for being like calm. And I was like, you can't be mad at me when I'm upset and also mad at me when I'm calm. Otherwise, you're just mad.
Did John tell you that we got mad at each other via text during the week?
About the JJ thing?
Yeah.
He texted me that he was on my side because he was good.
Yeah, he texted me that JJ was good. And I'm sort of in the spot where I don't want to talk about these things on the podcast. I have a great time talking about them on the podcast, but off the podcast. So I got like immediately pissy. And I was just like, shut the fuck up. This is what I do for a living. And he got immediately defensive. But to his credit, he apologized before I did. So, all right. Well, we will be back. I think we're back Monday night, right? Isn't that our next pod, CJ? I think if I remember correctly. We don't have a pod till Monday?
Sunday night. After the
Sunday night.
Magic games and evening game.
Yeah.
That's
I'll be watching. We're getting into college basketball. So it's nice that I didn't care about this game because I'm going to be in deep college basketball March Madness. My eyes are going to start to bug out. I'm going to be gone.
I don't even know how you know how many, like what players are on any of the teams anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. We will talk to you Sunday night after the Orlando game. I'm sure that'll be send in mailbag questions. Right. Ricky Sanchez at gmail.com.
I'll just talk about Selection Sunday. We'll do a bracket.
Oh, there we go. We'll do a bracket of, we already did a bracket once. We did process 6.
No, I meant the actual bracket.
An actual bracket. Okay. All right. We'll talk to you Sunday night. Are you done with TTP?
Yeah, like face.